need to start the radicalization of political candidates. No more women. I am not just going to execute everybody who's found to be corrupt. I will execute everybody who had knowledge of that corruption, and I will vote for that candidate. That's my reaction. Oh, another First Amendment violation? This isn't cool. They would never prosecute a black person. Oh, they did it to a white woman? All of that stuff is like so stupid. Your life is too good if you can bitch about that stuff. Your life is too easy. You've been pampered. Good evening and welcome to Stones and Thrones. My name is Nicholas A. Venna, and this is my show. I analyze and talk about current events in society, culture, and political news in pursuit of the good things to which we can hold fast and build upon, stone by stone, until myself and like-minded individuals have thrones at last. Occasionally, I'll be responding to some stones that are thrown at me, and sometimes I'll be throwing some stones of my own. When you complain about something that you don't do anything about, you normalize it. Okay? I've said this to people all the time. I watched it happen. I watched it happen from like December of 25. Now it's just full-fledged. But I told people, I would warn them on X all the time. And I know there were hundreds of thousands, million even more, in certain periods were seeing and responding to this content where I pointed out, if you get into this habit where you call everybody an anti-Semite simply because they disagree with any position that you might hold as it relates to the nation state of Israel or the manner in which they lobby for their interests here in the United States and fundraise and buy politicians, if you call everyone an anti-Semite who questions these things, you are, A, reducing the value of that word. Like, it just doesn't mean what you want it to mean anymore. It doesn't evoke anything in people anymore when you're using it all the time. But B, you're actually making it easier and stoking anti-Semitism. For example, if you're engaged with somebody like on the regular in any form of ordinary day-to-day discourse, okay, and they're constantly accusing you of something that you know you are not guilty of, at some point, a little like switch flips, and you're like, dude, I'm not doing what you say I'm doing. Like, I'm honestly not doing it. But at this stage, you're always accusing me of it. I'm getting so sick of it. It's offensive. It's really bothering the shit out of me. Now I kind of want to do it. And this happens on like an individual and like cellular level in society. It happens in households, right? If you go into the pantry and, someone in your household always, buys the ding dongs for themselves, or they buy the Twinkies or the ice creams or the Ben & Jerry's for themselves. And then you're constantly getting accused, you took it, and you didn't. That eventually becomes your justification, and we all know this psychologically, that you cannot avoid it. That is innate to humanity. It's innate to the way that we are programmed because it's our sense of justice. So there's actually even a spiritual and theological reality behind it. So going with the same example, if I'm being accused every single day, you took my Ben & Jerry's, didn't you? You took my Ben & Jerry's, didn't you? You took and it's like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. So maybe it's a roommate or college or whatever, okay? And you're like, no, I did not, okay? Well, what happens is you are slowly and incrementally, consistently, persistently being made to pay for this crime that you're innocent of. And at some point, the switch flips. You might come home in the right set of circumstances. Your roommate has been leveling this accusation forever. You are just sick and tired of it. You are dying for some ice cream. You're dying for something cold, something sweet. You're too exhausted to go out and get it. You open up the freezer and there's that Ben & Jerry's. And then you're just like, dude, this person has been making me pay the price of a thief forever. I might as well just take it. Like, I'm going to get accused of it anyway. So the only difference is this time I'll actually be guilty of it. they will make me pay for it. So it's going to be fair and square, even Steven. We'll call it a wash, right? Score is tied. So you just do it. And people know they've done this. Everybody should be able to identify this because you couldn't avoid it, unless you're just someone who's never been accused of something you didn't do before. So now just take that and apply it to increasingly more serious issues, like being called a racist or an anti-Semite or a misogynist or a sexist, because this stuff happens all day, every day. It does actually create the bigotry that you're ostensibly trying to stamp out with all of your hysterical accusations, okay? So when you go out there and you're just calling people all the time, you're calling them giving them these labels. Oh, you're a racist. You're a racist. You're a white supremacist. You're this, you're that. Eventually, once these people have paid enough, like they have paid the price for being guilty of this thing, they eventually become that. Knowingly, and they justify it. Like, well, I've walked down the street every single day and had to deal with you calling me a racist or a white supremacist. I'm actually not. But I'm becoming that because I'm beginning to hate you and everybody like you, because you're all sort of like participate in this corporate affliction. It's like, you go someplace in certain parts of the country and it's like, well, like every black person views me as if I'm a racist. In the same way that I have seen blacks talk about, everybody views us like we're criminals. It's like, I walk into a store, I get followed around by security. So you can set aside all your prejudices for a moment, set aside the fact that, oh, you don't trust someone. But the reality is that's probably certainly truthful in many of the circumstances we're in that's being expressed by somebody, where they're like, yeah, you just don't know what it feels like. You walk around in a supermarket, they follow you like you're going to steal something. You've never stolen anything. You're not even interested in it. Or they want to check your pockets or your bag before you leave. You become a victim of this prejudice, like this prejudged. You're prejudged by someone who doesn't know you. And so they can only make a judgment based on these observable things like the color of your skin or the clothes you're wearing or whatever else, some indicator of a socioeconomic status. Maybe they overheard you talking about something religious, so now it's like this religious bigotry. It's not difficult to understand that that actually has happened, and it's probably happened on a large scale. And at some point, does that person not flip the switch and just say, I'm actually going to steal something now, because you're going to view me like that anyway. You treat me like that anyway. You view me like that anyway. I have been made to feel as if I've done something I didn't do. I have been made to pay the social punishment for a crime I didn't commit over and over and over again. I've had enough now. I'm just going to do it anyway. Right? You see that everywhere. You see that with things, especially sexism, where if you're a guy and you're going around and just like constantly, you've got this, like, you're being inundated with expressions from women like, oh, he's looking at me, or creepy, or this or that, or whatever else. Or even if it's not even you, you're online, you're on social media, and you see these posts, this content just constantly being pumped out that's super hateful towards men, like, oh, all men, this and that and the other thing. Then at some point, you're just sort of like, dude, I'm so sick and tired of these allegations and sick and tired of reading all of your content. Like, it's offensive. It's actually grating on me. Now I'm going to rage bait you back. Now I'm just going to make comments on your content that is exactly what you presume that I am, and then just watch you get all mad about it, right? In fact, which I think is even more cynical and more terrible, a great deal of the content that is pumped out in social media in any of these particular areas, a lot of these rage bait types of accounts, that's why they're doing it. There are men behind accounts that would give the impression that it's a female, making these outrageous misogynist or misandrist statements in order to get engagement and then try to make money on it. And there are females who do the same thing, LARPing or pretending to be men, making these outrageous and misogynist statements or assertions that then stoke the rage of the women who jump on. And it's almost so prevalent now that you really could never know for sure what you're looking at. Either A, this is a person who actually believes this, the actual gender, the gender that, or the sex that they represent that they are in their profile, or B, they don't actually believe it, they're just rage baiting to try to get engagement, or C, they're not actually the gender that they're representing or the sex that they're representing that they are, and they're trying to stoke these flames to get engagement, and you really couldn't even know anymore. So you see this happening, and it happens also in the most significant way with these legal issues where there's clearly corruption, and it's very far-reaching, and it's catastrophic. The public has lost trust in the judiciary, okay? The public has lost trust in the judiciary. That is real. Look at the way they talk about it. And the only ones who will say things like, oh, watch the system, is really the callous ones who've never been ensnared by it or never been emotionally invested in a court case that they paid really close attention to that ended up with a ruling that they could just see was completely outrageous. It's like that movie, because you see this rage being stoked. I don't know if it's a movie or like the RoboCop or the vigilante, some form of untouchable, like marches into the courtroom, goes up to the judge or the attorneys, grabs them by the hair, drags them out of the courtroom, out into the parking lot, throws them on the ground, like foot stomps on the middle of their back, puts their foot on their spine, pulls out like some automatic weapon with this like ridiculous, obnoxious magazine, and just empties out the entire thing in their back. Just flips them back over. They're unrecognizable. They're just filled with lead. I don't even know if that is a movie. Maybe that should be a movie. But the judiciary is definitely cooked. Nobody believes in it anymore. And that is a powder keg just waiting to explode. Just waiting to explode. And the people responsible for that are these court officers. Judges know that other judges are corrupt. They know this because they can see it more than anybody. And what they don't understand is when that happens, and that will inevitably happen, it has happened in every historical society. Look what the French did in the French Revolution. It's almost as if there's this hubris that wouldn't happen again today. It's like, well, it already is happening. It's just happening in different ways and on different scales. But like, who's Tyler Robinson? Where did he come up with like that fervor and zeal that there's this random guy who ends up executing somebody else publicly? You don't think eventually that person's going to come for like a judge? There was a judge who his own bailiff just shot him point blank range in his chambers. I think that's still ongoing. And unsurprisingly, we hear very little about it. And I think the obvious answer is because that judge may very well have done something worth getting shot over. Or the judge and that court circle routinely does things that all of the other people involved in the process are like terrified. They're paranoid that they would get ensnared, which, by the way, like that is my argument. I'll tell right, because I could never and should never be accused of encouraging violence against government officials. First of all, it's illegal, so I would never say to do that, even if I believe it was justified. And I don't. It's not justified for a citizen who does not have the authority to go carry out the death sentence on anyone, let alone a government official. So it's not justified. In a moral and ethical sense, it's not justified. It's also illegal. So it would destroy your life. Going and doing what Tyler did, no matter how much Tyler Robinson believes in what he did, and no matter how many people cheer him on or praised him for what he did, or believe that Charlie Kirk deserved to die and should be dead and the world's a better place now that he is dead. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, Tyler, like, what did you get? You got nothing. You will be in prison for the rest of your life. For who and for what? What did you get out of that? So it's unethical, it's immoral, it's illegal, it won't work anyway. That said, even though it's not justified for a citizen who does not have the lawful authority to go carry out a death sentence, by no means would I ever assert that these corrupt government actors, lawyers, judges don't deserve to die, because that's simply not true. If you've committed a crime that the law punishes with the death penalty, or that any country anywhere would punish with the death penalty, or that even if no country imposes the death penalty, but someone did actually kill you, and then the average person who would be on a jury would not convict that person, that's essentially the substance of deserving to die. Unless you're God, right? If you don't believe in God, well, then there's really nothing else to it. If you don't believe in God, then making a statement like someone deserves to die is literally subjective. It's not a legal expression. It does not confer a right upon someone to kill somebody else. It doesn't incite someone to kill you. For example, I've already made it clear. It is immoral, unethical. It's illegal. It would destroy anybody's life. So anybody who went out and killed a government official, your life is over. You've done nothing good for anybody. In fact, my opinion on that issue is you just made it worse, because you made a martyr out of someone who, if they were actually guilty, did deserve to die, but not like that and not from you. We do have things that we can do as the general public. And the stuff that's going on online with these, oh my gosh, First Amendment violation and this and that and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, that means nothing, okay? Who prosecuted this woman? If it's an outrage, who prosecuted her? And why did that prosecutor get away with it? If it was a violation of the First Amendment, and this is pervasive like it is, it's rampant all over the country like it is, well, like, that's treason, which is punishable by death. It's systemic, which it actually is. Like, you don't really have free speech. It is systemic. It is widespread. It's pervasive, and it's selective, because it's not for everybody. It's only for one political party and the things that they say. So when you just go out there and you just whine and complain, don't do anything, whine and complain, don't do anything, whine and complain and don't do anything, you give the impression to all of your millions of followers and the people who see you that this is normal and that nothing can be done about it. And that's simply not true. And these same people will then silence or try to suppress a more radical voice, which is why I posted what I posted yesterday. Nick Fuentes is exactly right. He made the assertion, the party who elects the most radical person, the type of person who will oppose and break institutional strongholds, that's the party that's going to prevail. The left already does it. The right is weak. They need to stop bitching and complaining about stuff and within the ranks of the right, we should be purging our own. We should be finding anywhere, no matter how small, the most radical political candidate imaginable, the one who's actually saying, elect me and I will demand, I will not stop until there is legislation in place to execute, to put to death anyone, any government actor for even the slightest corruption. That's where it's at. That it's almost like there was that president of the Philippines. I remember when he took over, he was like a law enforcement dude, and they just said he was like this guy was killing people all the time. He became the president because of the drug trafficking. And the population got fed up with it. And this guy, it was around the same time as 2016, because this dude was also like broke all the decorum of politics. And he was just like, no, elect me and I will kill them. Like I will behead them, I will kill them. And they did elect him. Okay, that's the only real legitimate use of force. And that is the only actual power that you have. The left cheered when Charlie Kirk was dead because they believe he deserved to die and they were excited that he was murdered. Do you really think that they will not elect a politician who promises to kill you for saying the N-word? Do you really think that? Do you really think that they cannot find, like right now there are already laws, okay, that if your family, you can walk into a family court out of nowhere, blindside your spouse with no evidence at all and have them kicked out of your home, deprive them of their right to see their children, deprive them of their Second Amendment right to own a firearm, deprive them of their rights, freedom of movement, because you can limit where they go. I mean, there's a list. You can deprive them of their rights of free speech. They can no longer talk to you. They can no longer do all of these things. Like, you can go do that. And that was codified in the law. And as outrageous as the statute was, as written, like the way that it's written is outrageous. They don't even enforce it according to the statute. They are more liberal. I watched it with my own eyes. I sat in on a court hearing. I watched someone walk in and the judge say to her, oh, so you want a restraining order and you want full 100% custody of the kids. Did you even serve notice? Because the person you want the restraining order on, your boyfriend, husband, whoever it was, he's not even here. So did you even serve him? Does he even know? And her response is, oh, yeah, no, I don't know if I served him, but like I texted him. And he's like, well, I don't even know, like, how do I even know you even texted him? And he asks these like reasonable questions. And you're like, yeah, dude, this is just ridiculous. What a joke. And then after she basically fumbles around with literally nothing, like it's the most outrageous thing I've ever seen. And then he goes, all right, well, I'm going to grant the order. Boom, just like that. Okay, so this man, whoever he was, wherever he was, I was just sitting there thinking like, whoa, that dude he has no right to see his children now. If he owns firearms, they're gone. He doesn't have free speech anymore. He doesn't have freedom of movement anymore. Like, he doesn't have parental rights anymore. He doesn't even have a right to a place that he lives in. They could do this to you in a home that you share with someone, even if the home is yours. You could go meet a girl and she's your girlfriend for like a month and then moves in with you for like a day and then changes her address, on her phone bill or whatever, and then go in a couple of weeks and get a restraining order against you and have you ordered to vacate that home. And the statute is you're supposed to have a legal right because the outrage of this law, even as written, the consolation prize, even if all of this like dastardly, outrageous violations of all of your rights and due process is imposed on you because of some piece of shit, bullshit law that was written to make a shit ton of money, which it has successfully done for a bunch of lawyers. it's only 20 days. You have a right. There must be an evidentiary hearing within 21 days. They don't even do that. Right now in Southern California, the backlog on those things is like 7 months. You have no rights, nothing, and that's 7 months before your first day of trial, because they don't have to conduct your evidentiary hearing. And all the laws they don't follow in between. So I know, I've met them, I've talked to people. Go online and look for them. Look for like these groups from just family court alone. They're in the criminal courts too. I believe that was where Amanda Knox ended up getting involved in some of the communities that she got involved with after it was finally discovered. Like, yes, she was 100% imprisoned and incarcerated in another country for 3 years or more for a crime that she like absolutely now indisputably has been proven not to have committed, which she shouldn't even have had to do. Because you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, and then they've got to prove that you're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, they arrived at the conclusion that she was guilty. So now that we see that, no, forensically, like she is not guilty, they know who committed the murder now. She did not do it. How did they prove beyond any reasonable doubt that she was guilty of something that we now know she wasn't guilty of, unless the system is shit? You see what I'm saying? So there are groups, because she wasn't the only one. Thank God for her, literally, that she was young and physically attractive. That literally saved her life. She would still be rotting to death in a prison today, if not for that God-given asset. The fact that the media picked up on it, that she was an American, and that she was a female and beautiful. Ugly dude, he would still be there, face down on a mattress with someone 3 times his size laying on top of him. So there's group for these like false incarcerations for the criminal courts too. But just to pick like a low-hanging fruit, because family court, these judges are like one step above the traffic court judges. You go to these groups, and I guarantee you, if there was a bona fide candidate for elected office who ran on the promise of, I will change the statute so that anybody who is caught knowingly leveling a false accusation in a restraining order proceeding is immediately given the death penalty. You can do that. There's nothing in the American Constitution that says you cannot draft whatever laws you want. You can draft whatever law you want. You just need a politician or a legislature willing to do it. Like they did when they passed the DVPA, that basically made it effortless for anybody to go in and just take all the children away from their spouse, kick them out of the house, steal their money, deprive them of a bunch of constitutionally protected rights at the federal level, and then just completely disenfranchise them so that they can't do anything about it. They made that law. It's totally, and that actually does violate the Constitution because you have rights, like a due process right. So all I'm saying is, imagine if you had an elected official or someone running who said, I will draft legislation that for anybody who is found to have knowingly, right? That means there is a proceeding, a legal proceeding where the accused is afforded all the rights pursuant to their status as a citizen of the United States of America, federal law protecting them and endowing them with these rights. So everything's going to be on the up and up. It's going to be totally legit. And if you are found to have falsely accused, knowingly and intentionally for the purpose of whatever, the punishment is death. Period. I guarantee you there are millions, literally millions of people who would vote for that politician in a heartbeat. Even on a one-issue voter, you could make one-issue voters out of that. Any political candidate who comes across my view, who says, yeah, I will create statutes that allow for the swift execution of any government actor who is found to have been participating in corruption, and then impose the death penalty on them, I would vote for it in a heartbeat. You could not do it fast enough. I don't think that there is a candidate who could present a protocol that I would say, now that's too quick. They couldn't do it fast enough. And I would vote on that one issue alone. The idea that they could sweep this nation from coast to coast and weed out, and it doesn't even need to be a big act of corruption. Because I understand well that the entire American population knows that the justice system is corrupted and it cannot be trusted. None of its rulings can be trusted. The entire nation has been undermined by it. Iran could not do anything to us here on this soil. If you were to take the entire population of Iran and their entire military apparatus and every single capability that they had and transplant the whole thing in like Texas, and they could then launch an all-out hot war with every single asset they have for waging war, they could not do as much damage to this country as the corrupted judiciary already has. When I see people or hear stories about, oh, over in the Middle East, they chant death to America, it's like, oh, dude, it's already dead. What are you talking about, death to America, idiot? You are wasting your time and energy. It's already dead. Our judiciary is dead. And that does not mean every single judge and lawyer is a criminal. But there are so many of them that all the ones that are not directly participating in criminal conduct have no excuse for having not weeded it out on their own. And the fact that it's gotten this bad and gone this far says they never will. So frankly, if you had a candidate run on a platform that I am not just going to execute everybody who's found to be corrupt, I will execute everybody who is found with certitude to have had knowledge of that corruption and failed to take action, I will vote for that candidate too. And I know I'm not the only one. That's my reaction to like, oh, another First Amendment violation. This isn't cool. Oh my gosh, they would never prosecute a black person for saying this. If it was a black woman, it wouldn't have been. Oh, they did it to a white woman. That all of that stuff is like so stupid. And anybody participating in that, it's clear like, oh, you've just never suffered. Your life is too good if you can bitch about that stuff. Your life is too easy. You've been pampered. Real patriots recognize the country has been corroded and killed. It's Americans who've shouted death to America by shouting, oh my gosh, they wouldn't do that to a white person. They wouldn't do it to a black person. Oh, it's racism. Oh, you're an anti-Semite. Oh, you're a sexist. That's the American version of like, America's already dead. People should take shit more seriously. And I know there's millions of people living on American soil who agree with me. You need to start promoting the radicalization of political candidates. No more wimps. No more pussyfooting. Like real, bona fide warriors who are not afraid, once getting elected, to get into office and take the metaphorical flamethrower to these institutions. They're corrupted. They're done. That's the only thing to do with the political process. But if you're running around and you're trying to get politicians elected who are going to like tick the tax rate down or up a percentage, or do like a free, bus, you get a free bus, or like free daycare like in New York City, that's a joke. None of these people in public office would ever do. They would never accept what they're offering you in exchange for the rest of your life. These aren't even breadcrumbs. This is piss and shit that they're feeding you, because that's how starved you are. I'll drink your piss and eat your shit. That is the state of the American voter today. It's a fucking joke. Real people need to rise up and start taking real action. Thanks for watching. Like or subscribe. Follow me. Repeat the shit that I say. Peace out.
Bitch, are you gonna clean that shit up? Because I will smack you.
She's gonna smack you, ho.